What is going on, Holotable Heroes, and welcome back to another Galaxy of Heroes with me, your bald-headed boy Scribe. How you all doing today? Well, probably a little bit blue, a little bit sad, a little bit depressed. CG have come out with some pretty bad news about the new assault battles and their cadence over the following months. It kind of sucks. Let's talk about it. So about 16 hours ago, the head of the time of this recording, Meathead, did a post about the assault battle cadence. Now, we recently got a brand new assault battle on the holotables called Peridia Patrol, which, apart from being a bit of a playful name, had actually some pretty decent rewards. A little bit of a change from Duel of Fates, a little bit more expensive. In my opinion, the rewards not as good, but some things that are quite nice, all this sort of business. But what we didn't expect was when they brought in new assault battles that they were going to push out other assault battles. Now, I imagine they probably had a roundtable discussion about this, and they're talking about, gear economy and how much provision they're giving players to progress in the game, and that we're getting more Chirotech and that we're getting Omicrons and all this sort of business. So we're not going to care about the fact that older assault battles might just get yeeted off into the sunset every month. Well, now it's been confirmed, guys. We're getting it capped out now so that we're only going to get a finite number of total assault battles every single month. That is going to be capped. This assault battle, Peridia Patrol, has meant that one other assault battle is not coming back. Which assault battles we get each month are apparently going to be cycled, rotated. How that's going to work, I don't know, but they're saying that essentially we're going to be losing one of the older ones. So, I'm having a hard time trying to understand why CG would do this. Really am having a hard time trying to understand it. And the problem is this affects the player base differently based on where you are in the game. I am relatively late game now. I've got coming up to 12.5 million GP. I don't have everything in the game, but yeah, I basically have everything. I'm basically done with Zetas. Obviously, I need Omicrons. I'm basically done with getting characters gear up to relic levels. I only need maybe 20 or 30 characters to go to relics at this point, and I'm only farming brand new characters that come out. So with that being said, I do not care about Chirotech. Let me reiterate, I do not care about Chirotech. Chirotech right now is not a bottleneck for your boy Scribble. But not everybody, and I would argue even most of the player base, is not in my position, okay? Most of the player base still needs a boatload of Chirotech to get all the characters up to relic level so they can unlock all the GLs, all the legendary events, all that good business, and I can sympathize with that. I'm not necessarily mad at this change to cadence for Assault Battle for me. I genuinely don't actually care that much because it doesn't impact me in the same way that it impacts sort of beginner players, mid-game players, and even those a little bit later on in the game. They still very much need all the Chirotech that they can get, and they still very much need all the Zeta materials that they can get, especially with the advent of things like Lightspeed bundles, which are giving new and mid-game and even late-game players access to a large number of characters at relic levels that they previously wouldn't have invested in, meaning they need to Zeta those characters to get the full benefit out of them. Now, if you are slowly but surely systematically chopping away at the number of Zetas that players can get from historic events that they've always been able to complete with really, really solid rewards, it's going to impact their development. And moreover, it makes us feel bad. For the old style of assault battles, these are the rewards that you would get on Challenge Tier 1. On the left-hand side here, you can see the finishing pieces for Gear 12. Now, this is kind of a short-term farm as well. Once you get to a certain point, this isn't really a bottleneck, but having 10 of each Chirotech is really nice. And of course, 2 Zeta materials. And then when you are able to complete Challenge Tiers 2 and Challenge Tiers 3, you get yourself some nice early materials for the early relic levels, and you get a little bit of signal data. Now, it's not a lot of signal data, but it's a little bit that helps. And these the one on the right-hand side, that gets repeated then for Challenge Tier 3. So essentially, you can get yourself 6 of the Tier 2 and 3 of signal data, you'll be able to get 10 of the Tier 1, and then just a smattering of the early relic salvage materials that you need, just to get you through up to like Relic 1, Relic 2, Relic 3, all that sort of business. You can never have too many bronzium wirings or carbonite circuit boards. You will eventually run out and have to start farming them quite deliberately again. So the fact that we will completely lose these materials in replace for one of the new assault battles is just a little bit disheartening, and I think it's more around the communication from CG that has made this sting that little bit more. If they'd have come forward and said to us that perhaps, we are going to think about removing one of your assault battles each month and replacing it with a brand new one. Oh, by the way, you will need to have brand new characters, and you will, by the way, need to get Relic 5, 7, 9 for the end tiers, otherwise you will not get proper full rewards. It's just kind of, yeah. And what did we get instead? The Duel of Fates assault battle, which requires just 2 characters, Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon Jinn. The early tiers of the event are there to help you actually get those characters to 7-star. I think this is a really great change for those in the early game. You also get quite a chunky amount of credits. Not as much as in, say, your credit heists, but still a reasonable amount, especially seeing as though this is a frequently returning event with decent numbers of shards. That's great. I'm all very well and good with those. When you get up to tier 3, this is where you get a big chunk of really good mod slicing materials. I absolutely love tier 3. This lets you fine-tune and upgrade your mods to a higher star rating. This is absolutely fantastic. And extra credits again, 2 million more credits. Once you start going up into the higher tiers, tier 4 over here, this is where you need to have a minimum of Relic 5. You're getting some crystals and you're getting some 5 million credits, and you will get random drops of certain things. Now this is slightly different in the Peridia Patrol one. We'll go over those rewards in a second, but still, nothing here is bad. Obviously, there are certain materials that you will probably be more interested in getting, those of the bronzium wirings or the carbonite circuit boards, rather than chromium transistors and erodiums, because these are easy to farm, but you still get some good amounts of signal data here, which is absolutely great. Absolutely great, and you can do all of these tiers. This is like very refreshing, I guess, very refreshing to see these sorts of rewards. The Duel of Fates assault battle was very well received. When you go up into the later tiers, this one over here requires Relic 7 at a minimum. You still get an extra 5 million credits, you still get 100 crystals, and then you get some of that late game materials for relics, and a big chunk, again, of signal data. Now, you don't get each of these, you just get one of them in particular, right? And then there's the final tier for Relic 9. This is what gives you that very end game gear. You get the stuff that you need to take things to Relic 8 and Relic 9. Very, very useful, okay? When we look at the new Peridia Patrol, however, it just feels like it's a little bit different and a little bit lacking. So we can see over here, Tier 1 does the same sort of approach. You get some shards. Tier 2, same approach. You get some shards of the characters that are required. And that kind of points to another problem that I have with this assault battle. We went from a 2-character assault battle to a 3-character assault battle, meaning you need even more investment, and the rewards are diluted because you cannot get necessarily the shards of the character that you need or want. But then Tier 3, exactly the same. Fantastic. Tier 4, like I said, this is where it changes. So they've removed a tier that used to give us things for relic levels. They've removed signal data entirely, and they've given us a big chunk of Chirotech. Now, I'm not saying these rewards are bad. These are still very, very valuable rewards, but me personally, I obviously get impacted, and I think everybody in the player base still struggles to get enough signal data to relic everything that they need. So I think it's a little disappointing to lose that, especially in the context of, if this is being run instead of one of the classic old assault battles, we are now getting Chirotech instead of signal data, helping us gear, but not necessarily helping us where the crunch for endgame players becomes, which is all about trying to build up those individual relic levels. You can't build up relic levels unless you've got enough signal data, and it's very, very hard to constantly being asked to relic 7, 8, 9 characters. So losing out on a source of signal data each month does kind of suck. And then we go up to Tier 5. Again, here we are getting some of the carbonite circuit boards, the bronzium wirings, but no signal data once again. I'm not sure why. And then the final tier over here, yes, we still get those nice juicy rewards for the end game, end relic sort of situation, and they've also thrown in Omicrons. Now, Omicrons are great, they are very, very valuable, but again, it's diluting the pool from you getting what you might actually want or need. Everybody needs these things, and they're all great. I'm not saying that the rewards here are bad, they're just slightly different, and the barrier to entry is increasing at a very slow pace that easily within a year, if we get another 2 assault battles next year, means that there's going to be half of the monthly assault battles are going to be new ones, and it's going to be gating out those people that are in the mid to late game, or early, mid, and a portion of the endgame player base is going to be missing out on rewards because they won't be able to max out these, and they will be missing out on what they would have historically have gotten whilst doing things like Secrets of Shadows and the Forest Moon of Endor and stuff like that. Those were guaranteed rewards from the investment that we placed a long time ago. Should we really be losing rewards? This feels very much like the same thing that was happening with raids. Now, there was a big change to raids 2 years ago when we had the introduction of the Crate Dragon raid. We went out from having a selection of raids that would go on cycle once a week, many of which were just full autos at this point or could be soloed by Galactic Legends, and we went into the Challenge Tier Rancor, and then they scrapped it all and we got the Crate Dragon raid. One raid that was going to have multiple tiers. You never finish it per se, but you could max crate it for the guild and for your personal reward track, and then you'll be able to select individual rewards. However, the longevity of these things is short-lived. It's only 9 months, and then you're going to have to invest in 5 new teams, or 8 new teams as it were, for the speeder bike raid. Brand new investment, getting rid of the value, or largely diminishing the value of the previous investments that you had. Thank you very much for your Relic 7 Jowers, now moving swiftly on. It feels like that sort of process is becoming on repeat again, and I think it is a little bit of a slippery slope here. Do we really feel comfortable in having the investments that we made in our roster and the rewards that we are used to be getting just pulled out from under us because, hey, just farm the new stuff? Farm the new stuff should be an incentive for us. We should be looking to chase after it because the rewards feel good, not because if we don't do it, we are all of a sudden losing rewards that we have historically always been able to get. This just feels really bitter to me. Eggnards, who is another content creator and is a long-term Redditor, has got a post up on Reddit with some really good feedback and some really interesting discussion around this point, and I do recommend everybody go check that out. But I really want to know your thoughts, Tribe. How do you feel about this new Assault Battle cadence? I want to hear it from everybody from the new player experience right all the way up to the giant mega Chad whales at the 15 million GP range that genuinely don't really need any sort of encouragement. But what is the consensus here? Because the only way we can get CG to change is if we push back. That's the only way we'll ever make anything change. CG are open to discussion. They are open to having chats. They just need to get that player feedback, and it needs to be candid, and it needs to be constructive. Let's not just grab the fire and pitchforks. Let's come up with a reason as to why we should not have to lose assault battles, rather than, well, just moaning about it, really. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, Tribe. Make sure you like while you're there, even if you really hate the changes to assault battles. And I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.